Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this podcast. It's been a while since I've made content on here. I think the last video was the announcement of the Australian squad. Usually, I do these with James Butler, but he's been dropped for today's show, and we've got someone. We've got someone. Oh, that's a bit tough on James. We've got someone in Neil Varani. Makes his debut on this channel. I've done shows previously with him with the Cricket Badger. Neil, welcome to your first debut on this channel.
Cheers, Luke. I've been avoiding you for a few weeks after the BGT, even though the scoreline was exactly what I expected, and I think overall we performed better than expected. Didn't want to give you a chance to get the shots in.
I think I said India will win the first test and then we'll win the next four. That kind of almost turned out, minus the rain in Brisbane. I'm happy with that.
We threw away a series that should have been not that we should have won it, but it should have been a lot tighter between Bumrah's injury and the unnecessary loss at Melbourne. It should have been closer than that. But we're a team in transition. You're a team at the peak, about to go into transition. So interesting few years ahead for both sides.
Absolutely. And we're here to discuss, or mainly discuss, the India's Champions Trophy squad has been announced. We will announce that right now. So the captain, of course, led by Rohit Sharma, vice captain Shubman Gill, Jaiswal, Virat Kohli. Is our squad. So any real surprises there, Neil?
No, not at all. I was speaking to yourself and James on the group before. I think there are two changes from the last ODI World Cup squad. I think Washi is in for Mohammad Siraj. Actually, I'm not sure if Arshdeep was there, but he clearly merits it. And Jaiswal is in the squad, Ashwin having retired. That we're talking about the test team being in transition. That is not a team in transition. That is a tried and tested team with some all-timers. Probably the greatest ODI batter of all time, plus a guy who could be on his way to being the greatest bowler ever, and a load of people who have been there, done it, knows to handle the pressure, with all due respect to how we've done in finals, and know the conditions. We're going to be in the UAE for the obvious reasons of the politics between India, Pakistan, and the security situation that still remains in Pakistan at the moment. So I think that's a very, very strong squad. Based on the squads that I've seen so far, obviously we've got a lot of time to go. I'd place them as favourites at the moment.
Just on India, not playing in Pakistan, playing in UAE. Are you disappointed by that? It is 2025. They had a good chance to say, you know what, we're gonna let bygones be bygones. I don't want this to become a political show. I stick to sports for that. But is it a bit disappointing that they could have played in Pakistan, and gone a long way to show some progression?
I would love to do that. I would absolutely love it. I miss India Pakistan Test series. I miss all cricket outside the international competitions, but we do need to be sensible. I'm not taking any sides, but we know that when the discussions were going on, there was a horrible terrorist attack in a railway station. We've seen all the issues that are going on around Imran Khan's incarceration at the moment, and how polarized it is on both sides, and it's a tinderbox. And the other teams who do tour, and I applaud them for touring. They don't have the same level of risk as the India team would do, but they are still under presidential level protection. They are confined to their hotels in certain areas. Journalists and fans are as well. So, given how it is between India and Pakistan, if other teams need to have that level of security, it doesn't really. I can understand how people would feel it's not worth the risk for the India team, who would be a much bigger target than other teams.
Well, you mentioned that there has been teams that have gone to Pakistan recently. Australia being one of them, England being the other, New Zealand. So since they've allowed to be back playing Test cricket in Pakistan, almost probably every nation's on there now, barring India. In your opinion, what will it take to India to bury the hatchet and play in Pakistan? Is it a personal thing? Do you wish the ICC would step in this situations and say, you know what, no, we want you to play in Pakistan?
I don't see how the ICC. Well, one, the ICC hasn't got that power, but this is bigger than cricket. This is a proper political issue. As I say, it when England were in Multan for the first two tests of their Test series this summer, the fans and the journalists and the team were basically under house arrest in very nice hotels. They were taken care of beautifully. Whenever I've gone to events run by my Pakistani friends, the hospitality is brilliant. However, you're still talking about armed guard taking you from hotel to stadium and back, and the fact that you can't go out. It was different in Rawalpindi, so it might be just certain areas, but yeah, the two countries have basically been in a cold war for since 2008. It needs the politics to be sorted out before sport, and sportsmen shouldn't have to lead or make examples for politicians. And we'll see that in the Champions Trophy. Certainly with the England team, there's been a lot of talk about their fixture. Um, it's much bigger than cricketers having to make a stand when the politicians aren't doing their business. Well, if they can make the peace, then cricketers can follow. But it's not for them to make that choice.
Fair enough. We'll move off from there. Back to the squad. Are you surprised that Bumrah's playing this despite his injury? They have got a very crucial series against England coming up in the middle of our winter or England summer, wherever you are watching. Would you have not played him? Just let him rest. Just take the month off, recover, and then come back for the England series.
Well, I think the main thing here is that this is a provisional squad. All the countries enter their provisional squad. I think the finalisation is 11th of Feb, at which point England and India will have played I think 2 of their ODIs and possibly have already played the T20 series beforehand. So I imagine that he's at the NCA in Bengaluru. I need to stop doing that. He's in Bengaluru, getting all the rehab and everything that they can do, and they'll take a final call later on. I was obviously last year. There was not a lot of ODI cricket played with the T20 World Cup. But looking at the team that went to Sri Lanka, I'm not sure who would be next in, and especially for UAE style pitches, possibly Harshit Rana. I think maybe there in the background, someone who can come in and be an enforcer on unforgiving wickets. You never know with Gautam Gambhir. It could be something completely left field. The lad up at the Super Giants, Yadav. Who knows if he's fit, he might be a bolter in if there are injuries. Siraj obviously would be another one to come in. I don't know how effective he would be given the style of bowler he is, but for someone like Bumrah, then um, he's probably there. I think that's the main weakness in this squad. You've got Shami, who's been um, he was on the verge of being flown into Australia um, halfway through the series. They decided not to. I think that was fair enough, and not risking him. I hope he's fully fit in that time. Hopefully, he'll play the England series. I can't remember what the squad is for that, and get some ODI cricket under his belt. And Hardik. Obviously, in the last World Cup, um, his injury basically changed the way that India set up, and they went to um, a full-time bowling attack rather than 4 full-timers and a part-timer, um, and that worked very, very well up until the final. So, few players there with injury clouds or injury history behind them. Otherwise, looks superb. And Bumrah, yeah, rest him, wrap him in cotton wool, get him in the cryo chamber, all the good stuff that the top athletes do. And just make sure he's ready for the first match.
I have a question from Michael Parker, which you probably know. He said to me he thought the team was boring, but he thought Karun Nair should have been in this team. He's been scoring runs for fun in the Vijay tournament, which is the white ball domestic 50 over tournament in India. Your thoughts on that?
Hi, Parksy. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Karun Nair. The thing that most people will know him for is scoring 300 plus against England back in 2016. He then, such as the nature of the Indian team, he then had a very short bad run. I mean, we're talking 3 or 4 matches, and got dropped, and hadn't really recovered, but has been superb. In the Vijay Hazare Trophy just now. I think it's you look at that middle order: Kohli, Iyer, Rahul, Pant, Pandya, and especially for those conditions, I don't know if it's possible to break in directly. What I would hope, and again, I haven't seen the squad for England, is that if they're resting anyone during the England games, get him in there. Let him make a case. And I would hope that if there are any injury problems, then he would be very close to the top of the list to come in the middle order, because he has been absolutely superb. I think it's one of those. Well, I mean, think of all the players who Australia didn't pick, sort of Martin Love, Stuart Law. It's that level. This Indian middle order is that level of quality at ODI cricket, that exceptional players and players in exceptional form will still struggle to break in. It's when someone rests for a series and you get called up, then you've got to grasp your chance straight away. Jaiswal doesn't get in this team. He doesn't get in the 11 here because he is the superstar coming through Indian cricket at the moment. But Gill averages about 70 in ODI cricket. You can't drop Shubman Gill, whatever his struggles have been in Test cricket. In ODI cricket, then he's straight in the team. And Jaiswal has made the squad through being superb. but none of these players have really tailed off in ODIs. So
who? Yeah, go ahead.
no. I was just going to say it takes something exceptional and an opportunity to come up for you to really stake a claim. The only person who's really done that is Arshdeep, who's forced his way into that bowling attack, but he's been given the opportunities by other injuries.
So who will open? Who will be the openers? Will it be Jaiswal and Rohit Sharma? Will Gill open? What?
Gill and Rowett. I could probably, yeah, I could probably name the team straight up, apart from the bowling attack, which will be mixed up depending on conditions. Sharma, Gill, Kohli, Iyer, Rahul, and I don't know if Pant gets in because Rahul is still a very good keeper in white ball. And if Pandya's fit, then he has to play. And then it depends if they want 5 full-time bowlers and Hardik as an option. Because if they're spinning pitches, they'll still want 2 seamers to begin with, and then 3 spinners. So I think Bumrah Shami would be expected, fitness permitting. Arshdeep, if the pitches allow for it, or if the conditions, if there's going to be swing when India are bowling, then Arshdeep's probably the best at extracting that. Kuldeep has to play, and then it'll be either Jadeja or Axer. Washington may get picked, but it'll be purely matchups. Talking a lot left-handers in a batting lineup, sort of thing.
Well, the pitches, in UAE are traditionally flat and hard. A run fest for the batsmen. But Pakistan these days, bit of absolute minefields for the last couple of series. The series against England after the first test.
Yeah,
after
I was going to say half the series, half the series against England.
It's going to be tough, isn't it? It's because they're 2 different places. Well, now that we've seen, will Pakistan stick with the minefields, or they go back to flat pitches, known because it is a white ball tournament?
Yeah. I don't think you can equate the minefields that they've had for the test matches with the white ball pitches. Traditionally, Pakistani pitches are hard, possibly a little. They get a little bit slow, and occasionally a bit too paced. But yeah, I think you're talking 280 pars. UAE, I reckon it's going to be a bit lower. I think we're talking 260s there. And I don't want to get my conspiracy tinfoil hat on, but if you think Jay Shah's not over in, while he's over in Dubai for ICC meetings, just having a quick word with the head of the ground staff or the Sheikh, I think those pitches will not be roads. I don't like to go into that conspiracy stuff, but I don't think there's any way that they would create roads in the UAE. And also, I think ODI cricket's just so much better when when par scores around 270. That's by far the best spectacle as far as I'm concerned. Although that may coincidentally be when India are the strongest team in the world, as opposed to the 400 pitches. No, I expect 260, 270, 280. I don't see roads. I can see a couple of teams getting away and getting 300 plus. I can also see quite a few of these teams getting completely blown to bits by their own over attacking. I see that with England, and it's always there's always potential there with Afghanistan and Bangladesh as well. Although I reckon the Afghans make the semis again.
You can pass on this question if you want. Speaking of conspiracies, the BCCI came out and said it was the players' wives and girlfriends. They were responsible for India losing that series. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I many thoughts on that. Clearly not the problem at all. I can understand there being a kernel of truth in there. I do think that teams should all stay together in the same hotel and be bonding and stuff. I think it helps, especially on a long tour like Australia or England will be. I think the wife and kids, considering how stressful it is, having your wife and kids about is not an issue. What it shouldn't do is interfere with team stuff. So if they go out for a team dinner, then they should do that ahead of spending that dinner time with with their wife and kids. Every time I see teams tour India, especially New Zealand, England, Australia, always panning over to the away dressing room.
Yeah,
See a lot of wife and kids there. You're in a foreign country. You need that support. The stories we've heard about players in past years, having a hard time of it, then going back to a hotel room and sitting on their own for hours and on end. That's not what you want. So no, it's a straw man to deflect from the real issues there are. I mean, it's an overreaction because we won the last two series and we'd held the BGT for 10 years. Look at it in the cold light of day. Is there any shame in losing the away series to Australia 3-1? No. Especially with the team in transition in the way it is. I'm disappointed because I thought we could have nicked it on balance of play, and we had moments that we didn't grasp. But all in all, but they've got to look at the things that were in their control and they did wrong. Team selection on a couple of occasions, some of the tactics, the batting, like that last session in Melbourne. Although, again, looking at some of the players who had taken a lot of the heat, who scored runs in that series? And Travis Head scored 2 centuries. How many single figure scores do you get? 3, 4?
I think 3, 4. Yeah, you got a couple of ducks as well. Yeah, so
yeah. Jaiswal got a load of single figure scores, scored 160, 80, and it was horrendously difficult to bat out there. So this is the nature of Indian cricket, that we throw the child out with the bathwater. People will calm down. We'll do well at the Champions Trophy. Everyone will be happy. We'll maybe we win it and everyone thinks we're the greatest team. Maybe we lose it and everyone gets their brickbats out again. Load of rubbish, and we'll see how much of it actually stands up.
I would comment on that, but I don't know what that looks like. I've never been married, so there's a little clip from me. Were you we'll move away from the Champions Trophy because we've covered that squad. Were you surprised how Australia, they stick with the green tops. Considering what happened after Perth, we thought Adelaide they're going to go back to a hard flat wicket, and it was completely opposite. They went with the green top. They played a bit of brimstone and fire. Were you surprised by that? They stick with the green top.
Yeah, a little bit, especially, all right. Adelaide's completely different.
Yeah.
But Melbourne, Melbourne was actually a pretty reasonable deck.
Yeah.
I didn't think there were major issues there. The thing that you had as the home side, and the way that Australian cricket is you got a conveyor belt of good, if not excellent, pace bowlers. So you could afford to break Hazelwood because then Boland comes in. Stark was feeling it at the end. I think Cummins was a bit as well. But then you got Sean Abbott who can come in, or any number of players. I was going to say Jai, but I think he popped his shoulder again.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so you can do that. If we break a bowler, then you've got to put an elite athlete on a 10-hour flight, give him minimal time to get used to local conditions. I think it was an arms race in that sense, and you were much better stocked, and that last test possibly was decided on the fact that the best bowler on either side broke down.
Were you surprised he broke down so late and not early in like test 3 or 4? Because we say last series we mentioned the overs that Stark, Hazelwood, Cummins bowled last series, and they didn't rotate. They did a good job of rotating this series. Bulmer bowled a lot of overs this test. A lot of that doesn't get mentioned. He bowled just as many as those bowlers, if not more.
Yeah, him and Siraj last year bowled bulk overs, all in all, and I don't know. I mean, he's a beast of a man, isn't he? He has to be. His body's got to be so strong so that his arm doesn't break off with the way he bowls. So I'm glad he made it that far. I'm hoping that it's not anything major and they can get him right for the Champions Trophy. Yeah, what could have been?
We'll move on from that. England's they've got an important the Champions Trophy. They've got a very crucial series against England. It seems that only England and Australia and India only play 5 tests against each other these days. Probably discuss that a little bit. What's more important to you? If you had the choice, would you win the Champions Trophy or would you take a series in England? Obviously both, but I'm just giving you one.
I've been to. I was at the last 2 Champions Trophy finals when we won against England at Edgbaston, and then when we lost against Pakistan. I would take the Test series in England because it's been so long, and I don't think this team needs to prove itself in ODI cricket. Yeah, the Test series in England, we should have won it last time, and then the COVID issues and the fact that we had to leave. Everyone's very hindsighty on that. A lot of people talking about stuff they didn't know about, all the Wikipedia epidemiology experts that we had around COVID time. But if we'd played that Old Trafford test, I think we would have won that series.
I agree with that.
I think 2008. I think we won 1-0 in England, and yeah, that's a long time. So I think I'd take a win this summer I think it's going to be hard fought. I think everything will depend. The result will depend on what bowling attack we put out. I really hope we go back to the Kohli standard of a proper 5-man bowling attack, sort of 4 pacers and a spinner, which we had under his captaincy, because we've moved away from that to strengthen the batting, and I don't think it's worked.
Well, 2008 is nothing compared to the last time Australia's won in England, Neil. So that's absolutely nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I complain about COVID, the whole COVID farrago denying us a win there. You've managed to throw away series that you should have won a couple of times over now. Yeah. Well, yeah.
God, I hate Ben Stokes.
Maybe for different reasons.
I won't forget that Headingley Test. That's for damn sure. Because okay. I'll move on from that real quick. Because I still get it from James Butler to this day. What? No, actually, I was actually going to say, what's your predictions for just a quick predictions for the Sri Lanka and Australia test series that's coming up in February? A new deal, Australian. This is a new deal in Australia since the first time since 1997. Oh, I've lost my camera. Wow, there we go. Wow, wowee. My camera dropped. Okay, so just when that's last time since 1997, a free-to-air series has been away, minus the Ashes or Test World Championship. A huge thing. It's been a big talking point in Australia. How do you see that series going?
I am gonna say 1-0 Sri Lanka.
It's another place where we haven't won in many years, Neil. That's not what I wanted to hear. I'm hoping for 2-0.
No, you made a choice with your squad that this series, now that it doesn't matter towards World Test Championship final qualification, you're gonna prepare some of the younger players for playing in the subcontinent for series in the future, and I think that's fair enough. Yeah, I'm not saying you're taking it lightly. You're still going to go out there and try to win, but I don't see anyone outside of Smith who really has the game to withstand proper Sri Lankan turners. And I can just, and he's had issues with his issue. Well, sorry, his issues, in a relative sense, are with left arm spin. Jadeja has got a tremendous record against him, and he's going up against Prabhat Jayasuriya in Gaul. The guy's basically just turns into Herath when he bowls there, and I just see him ripping through Australia. I don't think that, especially, I think Kuhnemann possibly not going due to finger injury from the Big Bash. I don't think Lyon's going to have the support. Travis Head will pitch in. I assume Todd Murphy will be there as well. But these guys are very, very good in home conditions, and you are taking a squad with an eye to the future. So the result from an Australian point of view should be irrelevant. It's more about learning, soaking in as much as they can. Those young players should. I imagine that Steve Smith's the first in and last out, or maybe Labuschagne into the nets every day. Those young players should be aiming to be there at the same time and just soak up as much knowledge as they can.
There is talk of Qantas being dropped for that series. I don't know why you'd do that. I understand Head's prolific opening in Asian conditions. He did it in India, made that 90. But having said that,
Wait, heads 90 in Ahmedabad on a road.
Road, yeah, that's the same. I think that's the same place where Cameron Green got 100. Same place Coley broke his duck. So apparently that's going 100 on 18 conditions. I
Jeez.
couldn't.
Oh
I
no,
couldn't.
no, 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 no.
I couldn't believe it when I heard that. I thought, why would you do that to that? If you drop Constus, and that's now 2 young players you've dropped in the space of 5 tests.
Co-
So I think that's crazy.
Given all, I don't buy into the hype with Constus. I think he plays a high variance game, and hasn't, and he's hit a few big shots and got out. Brilliant. Might as well play Jake Fraser McGurk. There, you know, is he going to last past 15 overs? You know, is he a guy who could build it? But you know, Australia have made that investment. You know, they played it. They've played him. They've talked him up massively. Then you got to stick with him. You can't drop him before he's even landed on foreign soil. Or is he just going to become, you know, a home track bully like Marnus?
Oh yeah, well, I'll tell you who needs a big series is Usman Khawaja. If he has 2 bad games, I think that could be very much curtains for him. I think he should have, in my
No, no.
opinion. I don't think so.
Nah, Khawaja's retiring after the World Test Championship final.
Oh, okay.
They're not going to drop him before that, and I can't see him going through to the next cycle.
I'm still with the David Warner love fest. But
sure.
I'm seeing what he does in the Big Bash. Neil, he's averaging 60 in the Big Bash, and I'm thinking, get him to Sri Lanka. He might be better than Khawaja.
At a strike rate of 110 against grade cricketers. Yeah. Well done, Davey.
Yeah.
Didn't he score 70 and the other day, and Thunder's only scored about 8 fours and no sixes in the whole thing, and he carried his bat, and that was not a bad pitch. I'm sorry, but yeah, we've all seen that story before. He's
I think he's still, again, it's one of those, bit like the James Anderson situations. If he got a caught up, he'll say yes straight away. He didn't retire; it was a forced retirement. But with the Sri Lankan series, I just hope they find it in their heart, Neil. If the Sri Lankan board are listening to this, watching this, I hope that you have a heart and you produce 2 green top pitchers. That would be very, very nice. So if you're listening, please do find it in your heart. We hosted you last couple of years. You know, we can return the favour, but I think that will fall on deaf ears, Neil. Before we wrap this up, any final thoughts, Neil, about anything going on with world cricket?
Yeah, the two division suggestion that I've heard. Let me say initially, I fully supported a multi-division Test Championship, which goes beyond the 13 Test sides. We could have 3. If other teams want to play it, have more divisions, have proper promotion and relegation. There are 2 issues with the way that it's being set up. One is that they have some kind of UN Security Council style permanent membership for England, Australia, and India. If they're not able to get relegated, then it makes a mockery of the whole system. And to the only way that the majority of boards survive, I mean, everyone apart from England, Australia, and India is through one ICC distributions, but there's also talk getting rid of the Champions Trophy, so take out a fat wedge of revenue there, and 2 is hosting India. This has been said explicitly by South Africa. The only time they make a profit is when they host India. They may break even with England, and then the money from hosting India will pay for the rest of that cycle. And you're basically going to drive all the teams in Tier 2, Division 2, into bankruptcy. The obvious way to do it would be to have a centralized TV rights deal negotiated by the ICC in the way that the Premier League does for English football, with and that way everyone can share in the massive cash cow that is the Indian TV market. But that's not going to happen. I mean, at the moment, 85% of ICC revenue is from the Indian TV rights. India take back 40 odd percent. So there's already a lot of money being given up that way. I don't see that percentage going down. And I don't think the ICC are actually smart enough or powerful enough to force that through. So, yeah, I think you're going to end up with just the big teams playing. I mean, to be honest, that's what Australia want anyway. They've tried to find any way to get out of series against smaller teams. I won't get into the politics of the Afghanistan stance, but Bangladesh has been cancelled numerous times when they're supposed to tour. They were basically on a warning about when they hosted Zimbabwe, so they sent it off to deepest, darkest Queensland, where I actually managed to get to a game, and it was absolutely bloody brilliant. But you know, none of the bigger grounds would take that game, and England are similar. I mean, Zimbabwe are touring for the first time this year. Not going to be at Lords. I think it's at Trent Bridge, and it's the first time since 2003, I think. And also, the issue was always with apparently due to protests against Robert Mugabe. Well, he's been dead for 10 odd years. They haven't been ready to invite Zimbabwe over anytime since. Bangladesh, about 2009, I think, last time they came to England. England, Australia don't want to play the smaller teams.
Well,
India do, but I think they're just shoring up political capital for when they want to put anything through the ICC.
Well, they seem to play Bangladesh every year, Neil. India.
Well, someone's got to.
Well, actually, it's interesting. No, that's a good point, because this cycle, Bangladesh, Australia's in Bangladesh's cycle. So we've had huge crowds, all-time profits this year with our summer of cricket with India. We've got the Ashes next year, will be more profits. We've got New Zealand, which will be more profits. Then we've got that special centenary test against England at the MCG. Then, so that's going to be massive. There'll be probably 90,000 for that as well. Then we've got a low. We've got Bangladesh. So it's very interesting to see what Cricket Australia do with that series. You have to host them, otherwise you're going to get penalised. And if Australia do cancel, I hope the ICC do penalise them. But there's no rules of where you can host it. So I think it's a good opportunity to have it in the winter. Have it in Darwin, have it in Queensland, or Far East Queensland. It's hard these days compared to yesteryear in Darwin, because there's more AFL football being played in Darwin, even during the winter. So that's a bit tough. But I think it's a good opportunity to go regional with that series, and then maybe work out a deal during the summer with some team like South Africa, who we've got also away. That's going to be the first time since Smith went, that crazy debacle sandpaper series. If Smith makes it, probably not. So very interesting to see where Australia cricket goes after the New Zealand centenary test against England with Bangladesh. I think all eyes will be on that one. But Neil, that's a conversation for a different day. Thank you for coming on. As you said, We dropped James Butler. We brought you in. Hopefully we don't drop you after one appearance. We'll get you on real quick. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for coming on here. Mate, really do appreciate it.
Cheers, Lucas. It's been fun.
And that's it, everybody. Make sure to subscribe to our Twitter, Neil Varani Twitter, LucasCricket21 Twitter, or my other Twitter account, LucasSkyR15. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you on the next show. Question. Well, I was going to go. We've got a question. Will you, by Wizwan66, will you preview the Pakistan ODI champion squad? Absolutely not. Not a chance. I can't even do the Indian squad. That's why I got Neil Varani here. However, we do have Pakistan content. I will preview review the West Indies and Pakistan series. By the way that's going, I'll preview that tomorrow. Pakistan have completely changed their instance on pitches. Make sure Australia don't go there for the next 20 years, because that could be a bit embarrassing too, like England. But anyway, Neil, on that note, we definitely will go. Thank you for joining, and goodbye.